welcome to the Hard Rocket Sports Studios and another edition of the weekly video recap. March And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to the live edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show. Oh my God. Hi atop Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful Seek, Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get together. We bring all the biggest news from around the world of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. And guys, welcome to Thursday night, September the 26th in the year of our good Lord 2024. Can you believe it? It is September already. We're creeping into we're going to start creeping into holiday season time around here. You know how much we love the holidays around here. Jeff and I are huge fans of Christmas, Thanksgiving. I'm not the Halloween person. I don't really care about Halloween. I think it's a kids thing, and I think it's one of those things that go bad. Other than it's a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I have no interest in Halloween, so just thought I'd throw it out there. But we got a lot to talk about. Ton of football stuff tonight, obviously. It's going to be a short show. I want to watch the Giant game, so I don't know. We'll go past 8 o'clock ish, but we'll definitely get there. And then we'll see. We'll have some fun with the Jets, the Giants. We'll talk a little Mets. A little bit of music. There was an article I wanted to catch up on here. Trying to find it right now. I have it up on the screen here. Anyway, but we got a lot to do in the time, whatever time we do have. And looking forward to hanging with you guys. I hope you guys have had a great week. Looking forward to another weekend of football. And then a really nice weather. I'm just checking my fantasy team while I have the opportunity. We're going to skip the my political soliloquy for the week because it is a shortened show and I want to get on the air quick. I do want to say, pay attention to this Eric Adams thing going on, folks. I think it's really interesting that this is a guy who spoke out against the Biden administration after backing them and with all his negative stuff about them and their handling of the migrant crisis. Now, quickly, Eric Adams had no business coming out and saying, well, we're a sanctuary city and we could take it. And hey, you got what you asked for. But he went and asked for money. He said, hey, you want to stick these people on us? Great. You got to help pay for it. And they basically said, go scratch. No, we're not going to pay for it. And, he's paying the price for it a little bit right now. So having said that, I think pay attention. When the smoke, there's fire. This is a guy who's had a ton of people quit. The Southern District of New York does not go after people lightly. And that is one, that's a place where you go to get your ass kicked. And just for the record, Kathy Hochul, the governor, can remove him from office and eliminate a lot of these problems. But the guy waiting in the wings is the public advocate, and his name is Jumaane Williams, and he's a Democratic socialist to the point where AOC has that's a pal. They believe in the same stuff, and he is he's really far left. So be careful. Anyway, a lot of football stuff to get to. We're going to get to some music stuff. We'll touch base on a lot of Giants tonight. A little bit of Jets, some NFL news, and we'll keep you entertained for a little while. And we'll do that. So let's get the show kicked off. My dad won't be around tonight. He's got a meeting, pizza party tonight. Big pizza party for his Section 16 over at his place. So good for Dad. We'll catch up with him next week. A little Yankees and Mets and Giants. But we'll kick the show off right now the way we always do with my good buddy and my pal, Mr. Jeff Blackest Sabbath Tawinski. What's up, man?
I've been waiting for this moment, man, since last year when I realized that I had to leave the nest.
Yeah.
because of the
Good.
dumpster
You got
fire.
thrown out of the nest, but go ahead. Help yourself.
Because of the dumpster fire that the original nest had become.
God. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And I had to get out of there for my own safety.
Yeah.
Okay. But
And my sanity. And my sanity.
I'm on stable ground now.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Listen,
You beat Frank Catalano. I think Frank scored 10 points yet this year.
Anybody that benches Joe Burrow and puts in Daniel Jones.
I made a statement, and I'm going to live with it. I said that because I know what was going to happen. When I whipped the shit out of you this week, and I didn't use him, you'd say, "Oh, you said you're going to use Joe. You're going to use Daniel Jones. You didn't do it." It'd be every excuse in the world. So I said, "All right, I'm going to sink and swim with my backup quarterback, and if I lose, I lose." Then Daniel Jones and my team to kick the crap out of your team. So we're going to go for it. How's that feel? Just think, next Thursday night, you coming on, getting spanked by D. Jones. Wait till next week, and you have to come on the show and go, I can't believe I got smacked by Daniel Jones.
No, I'll say whatever you want to say if that's what I have to do, but I already know what the outcome's going to be. So,
all right, well, let's kick off the show with stuff that somebody actually wants to pay attention to, and that is the Jeff. How was your week?
Very good. I'm actually have to send a text now of one of my bosses retired today.
Oh wow!
We had a little party for him, and
does that do anything for your current status?
No.
Okay.
And but I'm just of course he'd have to text me back now, so that's what I had to say.
Did you reach out to your ultimate boss, Mr. Eric Adams, and wish him luck?
He's not my boss.
The man is the mayor of the city. He's everybody.
Listen, I don't give a fuck what he is. He's not my boss.
All
the mayor does for me is okay and negotiate bigger raises. Okay, he did his job. Now he may step aside.
So now you could care less if he's
dragged
away in cuffs.
I could care less. I could care less. See, here's the thing that people don't fail to realize. Okay, you could sit there. I love what people say, and they'll be like, "Oh, New York's a shithole." No. New York was always a shithole. There've always been homeless people. There've always been people pissing and shitting all over the place. All of that stuff. It did not just start within the last couple of years. It's been going on forever. It's a big city. This is what happens. We've had homeless. We've had drug problems. We've had rat problems. We have all of the problems that everybody complains about all the time. Mm-hmm. We've been dealing with for decades. It didn't just start to happen. Okay. People take more notice of things, but you're never going to stop it. And a city like New York, here's hoping that it doesn't get as bad as a city like Chicago or some of these cities in California. But sadly, it certainly looks like it's on its way there. But that's more the people. I blame the people of the city that vote these idiots in than the actual idiots themselves.
Oh, 100%. Listen, all you did is
see what this is turning to.
I agree.
Then, there's only so much that you can do.
I will disagree with you on one part, though. I am in New York City every day, have been for a good part of my life with my job. I would tell you the difference is it's the abundance. Yes, you would see the occasional homeless guy walking the streets. You would see the occasional guy all drugged up. You would see that kind of stuff. The amount of what you're seeing. I mean, Jeff, again, coming into the city since I'm a kid, but working in the city for 30-something years, I have never seen as many people shooting up right in the middle of a street, in the middle of broad daylight, not hiding it. I mean, just literally. I mean, I walked to my truck today and I was stepping around, and I'm not joking, 20 to 25 hypodermic needles in the street.
Listen.
So to that end of it, I disagree. I think it's always been there, and you're right. But when I walked the streets during the Giuliani and Bloomberg administrations, there was nothing like you see today. It's not even close.
It's hard to disagree that fact, and I don't want to get into
no, me either.
Political thing only because I know we have a short show. But I will say this much, okay? Heroin and other drugs like that have made a comeback.
Sure,
they're not as relevant. They weren't as relevant as they are now for the longest time. But now it's almost like with free shooting galleries and
Yes.
trade your needles in and everything else. It has brought it up more to the forefront.
I agree.
And once again, I have to say that it's the people voting them in.
I agree.
And if you didn't vote these assholes in, we wouldn't have the issues we got now. I also think I don't want to say that it's because they're legalizing weed.
I was going to go there right after you. So great. I'm glad you did it. Go ahead.
I don't think that has anything to do with the problems we have.
I do disagree a little bit, but go. Please finish.
It's just because listen, I've never shot up, but I've smoked plenty of weed in my day. Okay? It's two different scenarios, two different issues, two different problems. They're not connected. They're not connected at all.
No.
And these assholes that are doing this, they allow them to happen, and by giving them certain things and looking out for them, these people, they shouldn't be given anything. These junkies.
I couldn't agree.
Lock them up and fuck them.
I disagree with the weed thing only because, and again, I'm not telling you that I subscribe to the weed is the gateway to other drugs. I think you could do weed and not do anything else. I think it depends on the person. I do think that's a start for most people. I don't think most people jump right into heroin, but I'm not a drug user. I don't hang out with drug people, so I'm not going to make that statement. I think the one thing that legalizing weed has done has made using drugs allowable. It has, if I tell you the amount of people walking down a sidewalk that don't even pay attention to the guy literally on the floor tying himself off to shoot up, smoke, and you can't walk a city block without 10 people outside on a cigarette break smoking weed. I just think that legalizing weed has normalized drug use, and I don't think it's a good thing for the city. Now, again, I'm not saying people shouldn't be allowed to do what they want. Maybe you have it. You could do it in your own home. You could get a ticket for drinking a beer on the street, but you could smoke a joint. Makes no sense to me.
Well, so you know what that is over there, Tom. The cops have turned a blind eye to a lot of stuff,
yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
not right.
No.
And it's a shame. And if you get caught smoking weed,
yeah,
what's up, Will? If you get caught smoking weed, you will get a summons. You will get a ticket because you're not supposed to do it in public.
So, Will,
you're right. It has eased.
Yes.
The situation with drugs has been eased a little bit because of weed.
Absolutely.
But I also have to disagree with that a little bit, only because I think that it's as far as the cops go, it is more than just, well, we're going to let them smoke weed. It's okay to smoke weed. It was when they were dousing them with water.
Oh, no, 100%.
Years ago.
Let them hop over the turnstiles and the thing.
Yeah, when they took away certain powers from them. So now the people know that there's nothing that they can do.
I agree with you.
If you walk wherever there's a big crowd, I am always forever smelling weed and hardly ever see anybody smoking it, but I smell it, so I know it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay?
Yeah.
And listen, you know what? Just like fucking drinking beer, all right? You can't sit in the front of your house and drink a beer on the sidewalk. You could get a summons, like you said.
Yep.
But why you would want to fucking waste your head of smoking weed and worrying about getting caught by the cops. But nowadays, it's the cops ain't going to do anything.
No,
you show up if you have an accident.
Yeah,
the cops will no longer show up for your car accident.
Yes,
unless it's over a certain amount of dollars in damage, which I don't know who is.
No, it's unless there's an injury and a ambulance is being called, the cops will just not show up.
They told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know that? How do you know?
But then again, any kind of car accident, two cars tap one another, it's over $1,000.
Sure, absolutely, 100%. Most people's deductible is at least $500. So if you had two cars, you'd have $1,000. I get it. I subscribe to the broken windows theory. If you let little stuff go, you take it to the big stuff. So if you're going to say it's okay to smoke weed, it's fine, great. 2 minutes later, there's three guys on the corner sitting in front of Dunkin' Donuts. I'm stepping over them to get an iced tea, and they're all shooting up heroin. That's what New York City's turned into. And unless you're out there every day, I'm out there every day. I walk the city streets every single day, and it's worse and worse. I tell you the truth. I can't wait to get out of here. I don't want to live here anymore. I hate it. I hate every minute of it. I think it's disgusting. And if anybody thinks that it's, it's not as bad, I suggest you go spend a couple days in Manhattan, walk the streets, and see what it is. And again, I'm fully agree with you, Jeff. This stuff has been there forever. But when guys shot up, it was in an abandoned building. It was in an apartment somebody was using. They are literally shooting up, sitting on a sidewalk with the needle in their arm, and it ain't one person. I'm telling you, you can't walk a block without seeing it. So, if that's how
I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that at all, because it's all been there before.
No doubt.
And it's like you said, I have to agree a little bit with you on that one. That the legalization of weed may have lessened people's
absolutely
inhibitions against these drugs. But you want to know something? Years ago, when everybody thought it was funny, be like, yeah, my kid was going to call child welfare on my wife because my wife slapped her. It started there. We bred these people to the point where now they're the ones that are going to be in charge soon. And they're going to let certain things happen. And there's no way. There's really, how do you change it? How do you change it?
I don't know. I don't think you can at this point. You need something major to happen, because I think it goes back, and you said it perfectly. You voted these people in, and the cops are no longer chasing down the guy who's smoking pot walking down the street. They're not chasing down the guy who's walking to a deli and walking out with $200 worth of stuff under their arm. They're not chasing down because the prosecutors are telling them they're not gonna prosecute them, and they don't want them to go there. They don't want to waste their time. But when you walk the city streets and you see the lackadaisical attitude of what we're allowing it to become, you said it, and you're right. We are becoming those cities that we used to laugh at, like Chicago, where there's 27 murders every weekend. We're headed that way. Maybe murder's down a little bit. I have no idea. Maybe people too stoned to kill each other. I'm not really sure. All I can tell you is the city is a cesspool. And if anybody listening doesn't believe me, do me a favor, go in the city, park your car, and just walk Midtown. You ain't got to go into any what supposed bad neighborhoods. Just walk around Times Square and the blocks around it, and you will see everything in the world you want to see. So anyway,
you made mention. You made mention of the city and Chicago and the murders in Chicago. But never mind fucking Chicago, baby, because this fucking Sunday, this weekend, the biggest murder is going to be my team murdering the fuck out of your team. You don't stand a chance.
Okay.
Next week when we're here, you're going to be like, oh, you could have let up a little bit. Why did you have to score 300 points against me? You're a fucking dick, you fucking jerk off. All I know is that I, right here, me, I'm a winner, baby.
We're going to see.
I'm fucking telling you right now.
Listen, I'll be the
first. You know what that is, right? A loser.
Yeah, all right. Let's all I say is, just remember, this is on tape. So when next Thursday comes and you lost, and I replay this entire little break, you're gonna go, "You're a dick. You're just a dick. You're just a dick."
Listen,
all right.
I'm going in. I'm doing one thing that you always stood against. Okay, which is, well, I'm playing for 9th place this week, and I'm happy. I'm happy to be there in 9th place. Hopefully my quarterback will complete a few passes and we'll get a first down. Okay? No, I'm going in confident. I'm going in hot. I'm coming out a winner, baby.
Wow, look at
nobody fucking is playing for 2nd place.
All right, listen.
You bitch. I'm telling you right now. If I had enough time, I'd get in the car, come to your house, sit right next to you and be, Tom, you're a bitch, and come back here and finish the show. How's that?
And you'd be a stud if you win. If you lose, you're gonna be an ass. Well, we'll see.
My team couldn't be much worse than your team at this point in time. I just happened to come across Frank Catalano.
That's true.
Before you did.
Everybody got healthy with Frank Catalano. In fact, I turned it in last week. I was checking the scores, and I saw you were down quite a bit. And then I realized you still had your quarterback, and you had a great night from Burrow and Chase. So. Chase really helped you out, and then your quarterback had a decent day. So listen, you had a good week, and again, you got lucky. You got to face Catalano, and that's good for everybody.
Except for Frank.
Except for Frank. But we got a lot of football to talk about, so let's get to last week's games, and then I want to talk a lot about tonight. Did you watch a lot of the Jet game?
What happened last week? I think I had band practice. I had to go to band practice. So I don't think I think they won when I have band practice.
Yeah. So again, I would not call it a dominating performance, but I would say it was a real good step in the right direction against a team that had been, kind of on the border of, are they a good team? Are they not a good team? Now you realize they've got no quarterback. I've heard that they may be playing Drake May at some point. But that's still a good defense up there in New England. And I would tell you, if you're a Jet fan, what you have to realize is, while he's not the same guy, Aaron Rodgers, that he was 2, 3, 4 years ago, he's still a hell of a quarterback. And you say all the time, you want his brain up on the line of scrimmage. And I would tell you, he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Okay. I'm looking at our latest, what is that?
Batya. Hi, Batya. And yes, I got my Trumpomania. Did you see my Trumpomania shirt I got from the Hulk Hogan store?
Yeah, I'd be more worried about Batya being there. Never mind the Trump shirt.
Well, whoever Batya is happy to.
Well, we can only hope that it's a person with good intentions.
Yes, but anyway, so I think for that end of it, I thought it was. I like this young kid, the running back, the young kid, 20 years old. I mean,
Zero.
Yes, again playing. It's a real good compliment to Breece Hall. Takes a little bit of the wear and tear off a Hall for a full season, and I mean they haven't been terrible, the offensive line. So a lot of the things that we were worried about, or I was worried about, I think you got past a little bit this weekend. Now this weekend they got Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, who are coming off a strange W. Hey, B. Oh, it's Bianca. Okay. 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 I see Batya.
That there's a little. It's a friendly, so it's all right.
Yes, it's all good. But I mean, as I think right now, what you're seeing, and the division's a little different for me, Jeff. That I was a little worried about. I mean, the Bills are better than I expected to be. There he is.
What's up, Frank?
I think the division's a little better. With the Bills, I wasn't expecting the Bills. Now Miami's in a shithole right now. So
we got to take the time for real quick. But what happens with Miami now without Tua?
Oof.
And his status his career still up in the air, not knowing exactly what's going to happen to him. It makes you wonder, not worry. I couldn't care less who the quarterback is down there, to be honest with you. But this was a team that was built for now.
Yeah.
Are they going to dismantle this team? Is Waddle gone? Is Hill gone? Is so many other pieces gone? Because they may not find another quarterback for God knows how long.
They are like last in the league. And so I think they scored like 30-something points this year after 3 games.
And they're going to be last for a while.
Yeah, I mean, when your backup is Skylar Thompson and then his backup is Tim Boyle, you really, you have nothing.
I lived that dream last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say this: if here's 2 roads for them. You're either going to go out and find Russell Wilson. I'm just throwing a name out there. Drew Lock. You're going to find somebody who's a competent NFL quarterback. And if we watch it this year with Sam Darnold, we've watched it this year. Andy Dalton had a huge game this week. Okay, went out there, won a game for the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield's had a resurgence. So does Geno Smith. If you're the Dolphins, you either got to do one of 2 things. You got to go out there and find a veteran quarterback right now, or you got to play for next year. And that means take the losses, almost tank the season, and go get next year's number 1 quarterback. Because at this point, Jeff, how could you live with Tua as your quarterback going forward? With the injury history.
I wouldn't want him. Matter of fact, I'm hoping that they encourage him to retire. I agree with you, but here's the thing. Yep. The Dolphins don't seem to be looking at a quarterback.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And while I know that veteran quarterbacks are, believe me, if anybody knows, they're hard to find, especially at this time of year before the trade deadline. You want to at least be doing something. And if I was Miami, I mean, nothing short of cutting Tua, I feel. I mean, come on.
Well, here's the problem. So, obviously, if you cut him, you owe him a lot of money, and he's going to wind up on somebody else's team, and you're paying the bill. So cutting him is a tough thing to do. I agree with you. I would encourage him to retire. I think it's in his best interest. just look this week. We had 2 different NFL players. One being Brett Favre came out and said that he's been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and Tommy Kramer. So, I'm not telling you that there was worse.
Tommy Kramer is 69 years old.
Yes. But at some point, if you're the Dolphins, you have to make a decision. Now, Jeff, they could be working the telephones right now, trying to make a trade, and nobody's doing it.
Yeah, but you don't even hear anything, Tom. You don't even hear
right.
Rumors this, rumors that. Usually, you hear something. Right now, as far as Russell Wilson goes, he's injured. That's why he's not playing right now.
Correct.
So, would you even be able to trade for him because he's injured?
I don't know. I use it because he came up, but you got to go out there and find a legit a legit quarterback, because Skylar Thompson ain't it and Tim Boyle ain't it. So I don't know.
Frank Catalano may have a point. Zach Wilson may actually have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I know that what's his name? Mike White is on some. I don't know if it's the Jaguars, but Mike White's sitting on somebody's bench. Go get Mike White.
Let me ask you a question. I got to. You brought it up. I got to ask the question. I've been thinking about this all week. I got to ask. I noticed that Matt popped in, so I would hope that maybe he would chime in if he hears the questions. What is that? Trevor Lawrence. Is this kid a bust?
Wow, that's a really great question, because at 0-3, I think the problem is coaching on that team. I don't know if and I said when he came into the league, I told everybody, I thought he was going to be a bust because he didn't have the right attitude. Now, I thought maybe I was mistaken the last couple of years. He was starting to come out of it a little bit. I don't think he either needs a much better coach or he's a bust. I would go that way.
How much, you got to think of something too. If the guy's not showing anything,
right?
Okay, is a much better coach going to take it out of him? Is he going to really get it out of him? He's been in the league now. What is this? His 3rd season?
More. I think it's at least 4.
3 or 4. I think it's his 3rd. I'm going to say it's his 3rd.
Okay,
we can look it up, but I think it's his 3rd. If he doesn't have it by now, listen, Geno Smith.
I'm just gonna say, how about Baker? Listen.
Baker Mayfield was doing it in Cleveland. He just wore out his welcome.
Well, I mean, but look at Sam Darnold. Now, I'm no Sam Darnold fan, but I would tell you this. Here's a guy that a lot of people liked. He's bounced around, but he gets on a team with a legitimate offense, with a really good coach who's a quarterback coach, and he's thriving. I mean, he's not just playing okay. He's not, he's winning games. I mean, he threw a 97-yard touchdown pass. It was a thing of beauty. So I think sometimes these guys need a few years to find it, and sometimes it matters where you wound up. And I think Doug Peterson and the Jags are just a badly coached team.
As far as Sam Darnold goes, this is game 3 of a season. Okay. And there's a lot of people anointing him the next greatest thing on earth as a quarterback. Let's wait and see. Don't forget, he was given up on 3 other organizations.
100%.
Okay. 100%. And not the greatest run organizations either. Well, it's definitely San Francisco, but he was, 3rd string over there. But, let's not forget that, he bounced around a little bit.
No, Jeff, I'm not. His first year was 2021. So this would be his 4th year, 21, 22, 23. This would be his 4th year.
21, 22, 23, 4th year.
4th year. So again, I'm not anointing Sam Darnold like I didn't anoint Geno Smith. But what I think you're seeing is
Geno Smith. The hand of God was waved in front of Geno Smith.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says.
Think about it. We all railed on Baker Mayfield. We all railed on Sam Darnold. We all railed on Geno Smith. I mean, we spent shows here blasting the Jets about Geno Smith, and we made fun of the Giants for bringing him on. But I think what we're seeing today is that these guys, and I look at guys like Caleb Williams, I look at some of these young guys, maybe Bryce Young, although I don't think Bryce Young is that good, but I think it depends on where you go, and you got to be given a chance. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. Yeah, the guys had one, half a decent season last year. He didn't look great early this year, so I'm not. I think Jordan Love was a wasted pick, but we'll give it time. I could be wrong, but these guys have maybe.
The one thing I'll say about Jordan Love and Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. Since they've gone through this is their 3rd quarterback since the early 90s. between Favre and Rodgers.
Yep.
So, you know, I would have to say if anybody gets a chance to unfold and see what he can do, I would have to say it would be Jordan Love.
Oh, agreed.
These people up there seem to know what they're doing with quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. If you're in the league and Green Bay likes a quarterback, you pay attention because they picked the last two were Hall of Famers. So
yeah, and even that other quarterback they had, he was a backup. He came out and played one game, and he ended up getting a pretty decent contract. I think it was from the fucking Raiders. Not Tim Boyle. What the fuck was his name, man?
From the Raiders.
He filled in like they benched a starter up in Green Bay, and he played like the last two regular seasons or last regular season game, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago while Rodgers was still there. I'm guessing it is.
I'll have to think about that
I can't
one.
remember what his name was.
Frankie Catalano, here's the thing. I watch Daniel Jones play every game. What I've seen is what you're seeing now, the last two games. That's Daniel Jones. He's not spectacular. He's not. I mean, you know, he has the ability to make plays with his legs and his arm. He's inaccurate. There's no doubt. There are plays that he needs to make, but he's not accurate. But Daniel Jones is a competent NFL quarterback. I'm not telling you he's elite. Jordan Love, I have not seen enough to say, okay. I've called it with Trey Lance. I've called it with a bunch of guys. You know, I think Jordan Love's got a chance to be really good. I haven't seen it yet where I would say, oh, for sure, he's got it. But my point of this whole conversation is this, guys. I think the NFL has this really bad habit now of forcing these guys to play. And unless you're in a system like Brock Purdy in San Francisco or maybe in Texas with Stroud and those guys, you know, you have sometimes you just wind up in the wrong place and then you have to bounce until you find the right place. And sometimes these guys just need a few years. Sometimes it just takes, you know, it's not immediate. I mean, I watched Caleb Williams play. It's not pretty. Anthony Richardson's not pretty. Will they be good a couple years from now?
Matt Flynn, yes, that's it. That's it.
Good call.
Thank you, Matt. That guy played one game, and if I remember right, he got a pretty decent. He was rewarded with a pretty decent contract. Yeah. Not a bank smashing contract, but he got a good one.
Oh no, he got better than he should have gotten. That's for sure.
Caleb Williams, you really can't say much about him. The guy's got a 3-game career so far.
Yeah, no,
let him see what happens. But 100%. The thing with Daniel Jones, he's in the league now for what, 4 or 5 years, 5, 6 years, whatever it is.
Yep.
And he's just not consistent. You can play great in a game, but if the next 2 games afterwards you're not consistent.
I disagree to a certain extent, but I think his problem has been early on was turnovers. He's really kind of solved that problem. It's injuries. Staying healthy has been his biggest nemesis. 2 years ago, he stayed healthy and he had a great season. He had a really good season. I won't even say great. I'll say he had a really good season. Last year was nothing. He came out the box. They were terrible. He got hurt and missed 9 or 10 games, whatever it was. This year, came out the box first game. Completely looked horrendous. People were already writing the obituary. In the last 2 weeks, the guy's played really good football. He put his team in a position to win. That's all you can ask. Again, is he a top 5 quarterback? No. Is he top 10 quarterback? Probably not. But to me, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that he's better than, and I would take him over. Now, again, everybody's proud of preference. I'm not telling you he's win a Super Bowl. All I'm telling you is I think he's a better than average quarterback at this point, and I think he might actually get better with having a guy like Neighbors.
So let me ask you something.
And his offensive line now is pretty good.
Let me ask you something. If you're saying that he's not a top 5 quarterback, and of course, not everybody could have a top 5 quarterback. We understand that. The talent is limited to an extent.
Yep.
Okay. And you're saying maybe he's not even a top 10 quarterback
at this moment. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay? But you're willing to keep him on your team.
Yes.
Okay. But wouldn't you want to take the next step and get a better quarterback? And I understand, Matt, you're right. The offensive line, a big problem for the New York Giants.
Yep.
Anybody could see that. Stevie Wonder could see that.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't you want to have a quarterback that's going in the right direction instead of injuries? Okay, injuries can happen to anybody. We know that.
Sure.
Okay. But I mean, well, don't you just want a better quarterback over one that you know is going to be more consistent when he is playing?
But how do you know that? Like, think about all the guys who have been drafted over the last 5 years. Think about all the quarterbacks.
Look what Frank just said.
I don't even pay attention. He drafted Bo Nix. The guy's like Social Security next year.
Oh, never mind. I don't only want to ask who 31 and 32 are if he's top 30, but whatever.
Oh, but yeah, 31 is Bo Nix. 32 is Bo Nix. He's so bad.
Twice, they put him down twice.
Yeah. But again, the problem I have is, and I say when they were at the end of the Eli era, all I said was, give me a better quarterback. That, again, if I could draft Arch Manning, no problem. Get me Arch Manning, let him sit on the bench for a year or so, and then let him play. No, there's no guarantee that any of the guys drafted this year. Now, Jaden Daniels has looked really good. But,
once again, keep in mind, 3 games.
Yeah, that's the point. So the answer is, fine. I always want to – anybody who says that they don't want a better player at a position on their team is nuts. I don't care who you have. If you have Josh Allen and Arch Manning comes out, you go, well, he's younger and I could get a guy who, so there's always the next guy. The question is, can you grab the next guy? For me right now, around the league, again, tell me who you guarantee that's better than him. I'll take him, but that's not an option. I'm okay with him right now. If he stays healthy, it's fine.
But your own team was looking for another quarterback option this year.
Correct. Absolutely.
And yet you still sit there and defend Daniel Jones with his own team.
But they didn't make the move. So
they didn't make the move because they couldn't find anybody.
Well, that's the point.
Actually, no. That's a lie. They wanted to move up in the draft.
Correct.
And they couldn't get the deal done.
Correct.
So that's a different story. They did try. If they got that deal done,
then
you think they were going to go wide receiver at that point in time?
No. If you were trading up at that point, you were trading up for one of the quarterbacks. But again, so the answer was, if you told me, hey, you're going to trade up, we're going to draft Drake May, I would have been happy with Drake May and put him on the roster for a year, and then Jones after this year gets cut. Listen, if it works, it works. I'm always for the best guy. I want my Giants to win. I know they can win with Daniel Jones because I saw them win with Daniel Jones. I saw it 2 years ago.
Daniel Jones get released after this season?
That's a really good question. I guess it depends on the season. I would say if he plays the way he plays right now, the answer is no, because they're going to finish maybe middle of the pack. They won't get a top. And I'm not crazy about too many of the guys that are coming out next year. So I would say the answer is no.
They haven't been mentioned. I mean, you may know some of the names.
Yeah.
College a little bit.
The big names. Anybody who drafts Shedeur Sanders, you're out of your mind. Forget about the physical end of it. Whether you think he's a good quarterback or not, the guy's a head case. You don't want that in your locker room. That guy's coming in there thinking he's Deion Sanders, before he's taking a snap. I wouldn't go near Shedeur Sanders with, I don't care what his physical skills are. And believe me, he holds the ball too long. He doesn't know how to go through a read progression. None of it. He looks for one guy, throws the ball up in the air. He's a hell of an athlete. I would not touch Shedeur Sanders just because of his attitude. But to me, like I said, that'll get worked out. I don't believe they'll cut Daniel Jones at the end of the year unless he gets hurt again. Then there's a possibility.
What are you saying, Frank Catalano? Hell in a Cell match?
Headlining.
Is that what you're saying?
But listen, but tonight's a big game for the Giants. All right, we'll get to some of the games that passed this weekend and the Jets and everything going on this week. All the games. I want to talk about the Bengals being 0-3, the Rams and the 49ers, two teams that people thought might be going to the Super Bowl championship game this year, 1-2s. So we'll get to that. But tonight's a big game for the Giants, and I'll tell you why. It's a big game for both teams because the Cowboys have gotten their asses kicked at home the last 2 weeks, Jeff. And, there's a lot of pressure when you're the Cowboys. You just gave, $60 million to your quarterback and whatever they gave to CeeDee Lamb. And Micah Parsons is warming up in the bullpen. And you're 1-2. You can't stop the run. Your offense looks like shit. This is a big game for the Cowboys. It's probably bigger than for the Giants.
Well, this is a question you got to ask because I understand what you're saying. But these teams, it was without a lot of these players playing in the preseason. There seems to be more of a sense of urgency amongst the fans than, amongst the teams at 1-2.
Well, it's because, listen, it's that because you got to remember a couple things. One, there's 17 games to play, so you still have another.
I understand that, but you have 14 games, but in this case, nobody's really saying that. And they're not, like even at that, you can't get into too much of a hole. Cincinnati is in a hole. Cincinnati needs to go till week 6 to get up to 500.
But there's only 2 teams in the NFC. There's only 2 teams in the NFC that are 3-0. Everybody else is either 0-3, 2-1, or 1-2. So there's no panic yet. Now I do think though that if the Cowboys were to lose tonight, and Matt, that's not the dumbest thing I've ever seen. If the Cowboys were to lose tonight and go to 1-3 and have now lost, to the Giants, that is a big deal. And I think while I don't think they'd fire McCarthy midseason, you will start to hear the Belichick to the Cowboys conversations now. This is a big game for the Cowboys tonight. With the Redskins being 2-1, with the Eagles being 2-1, you lose tonight, and then the Giants are 2-2, and you're 1-3. That your season's close to being over. You're not winning the division.
No, I would think I'd have to.
Because I think the panic that sets in, Jeff, at 1-3, if you're the Cowboys, and it's not just that they're losing; they're getting their asses handed to them. The Saints hung 40-something points on them. The Ravens ran all over them. Yeah, go Big Blue. So I think
I got a feeling you don't really mean that, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, either that or he hates the Cowboys more than he hates the Giants. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, I think this is, while this is obviously a big game for the Giants, there's less expectations for the Giants. Like I think the Giants, here's the thing about the Giants. They're getting better each week. I know you didn't see the Giant game this week. The defensive line showed they had 8 sacks of Deshaun Watson. Now, the Cleveland Browns, offensive line was terrible, but you know what? They still scored 3 touchdowns. They should have had 2 more. Had a fumble that killed the drive. They missed a field goal. So, they should have been a little better. But, the fact that the Giants went into Cleveland where everybody had them down and out, the season over, and won that game, to me, that's a nice win. They should have beat the Redskins. They didn't. They beat the Browns. Tonight's a big step for the Giants, but this game means way more to the Cowboys than it does to the Giants.
Yeah, I hear you. There was bigger expectations for the Cowboys.
Exactly. And it's not even just, like you said, and I think we've been preaching this for years now on the show. The first 3-4 games of the season is almost like the training camp. It's almost like the preseason, and with 7 teams making the playoffs, you don't have to be great. Like before when you had, a division winner and 1 or 2 wild cards, it was, the pressure was on. Now, there's 3 wild cards. You can be shitty. You can win. We've seen it. Teams can win 7 or 8, 9 games and get to the playoffs this year. You can win your division. The Giants nearly won their division a few years ago with 6 or 7 wins. So it's a lot different today, but I think it's the mindset. And I think what starts to happen after that loss last year in the playoffs to the Green Bay Packers at home, I think all the conversations start tomorrow morning. McCarthy's gone. It's all the Belichick stuff. Everybody knows Belichick wants another shot. I think that's what happens, and it gets into that locker room. And they were already fighting on the field last week. They were fighting on the sidelines. I think it was CeeDee Lamb was yelling at CeeDee Lamb. So it's already starting. Now the question is, if the Cowboys win tonight, okay, they take a breath, and then it's all hunky dory, and then it's a new season. But if they lose tonight, I would tell you, there's a lot of pressure on Jones. It would not shock me if he told McCarthy, take an Uber home. You're not coming home with us. It would not shock me. I don't think it's smart to fire a coach in the middle of the season, but I think if him losing tonight to the Giants, who they've beaten 6 straight times, I think it's 13 out of the last 14. They lose tonight, it's not going to be pretty back home in Dallas. So,
well, time will tell.
Yeah, no, it's.
I think there are bigger expectations for the Cowboys than there are the Giants.
Absolutely, and again, it's about expectations. But if you're going out there and you're losing, somebody scores a late touchdown, a fluke play, you kind of book it and you say, okay, we're getting better each week. We'll pile on 3 or 4 wins. But if Matt, I think for the Giants to win, they got to blow them out. I don't think the Giants can beat the Cowboys in a close game. Although, if the Cowboys can't stop the run, the Giants will run the ball on them tonight to death. They will try to at least. And maybe your prediction's right. But, for the Cowboys, you can't lose the games the way you're losing them now. That's the hard part. You're getting beat. You're giving up 30 and 40 points. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting night. But Hard Rock Sports at Jeff and Tom. And then again, Denver comes in this week to play the Jets at home. Frankie Catalani, you going to the game? You got your Bo Nix in town. You got your jersey going to the game Sunday. But
if I was Frank, I wouldn't even come out of the house, to be honest with you. After what happened to him in fantasy football in week 3, I just sit there. Frank,
you did get smacked. You did get smacked. Giants run. They don't have Barkley, who had a good. Now listen, that's it. There's an interesting. The Eagles. I mean, they're 2-1. They at the fourth quarter, I believe it was, of this Sunday's game, Eagles Saints. It was 3-0. Game ended 15-12. I mean, it was I was flipping back and forth with that game, and it was one of the most brutal games to watch. Now, here's the thing: Saquon Barkley, I think he had 147 yards rushing, 65 on one run, and he's just been great for them. But what it's showing you is, I don't think it's making that big a difference. And he's a terrible coach. They are not a good team. Right now, I'll tell you right now, if you had to ask me, I would tell you the Redskins are probably the best team in that division right now. And I don't think they're very good, but they're playing the best football right now. They're playing decent defense. That kid's he's throwing two incompletions a game. It's just, I'm not, like you said, it's only 3 games in, but you got to give him credit. I think the Redskins are playing the best football in that division right now.
Listen, give them credit and everything else, yeah, but there's a lot of people. When you see things being posted about like, oh, this guy's great. He's he's played 180 minutes of football, not even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's wait till we anoint him as the best of all time.
He's the one problem I have with him is he's a little small. He's under 200 pounds.
That's scary.
He's a little too small for me, especially as a guy who's a kind of a running, moving quarterback. He might not get injured, but I think what happens is guys like that, Jeff, over the course of a season, they wear down because they're getting the physical punishment. Their body can't handle it because they're not muscular enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like Lamar Jackson, but he's almost a physical specimen. And yet you get to the end of the season, he's not as fast. He's not, his quickness goes away. You lose a step or two, right? Because you're just taking a beating.
Getting hit by 300-pound men is not fun, man. I mean, come on, it can't be. Maybe these guys get 1 or 2 hits a game where, they're like, oh, I felt that. That feels good. It feels good. But, going on through, like, when it gets cold and you get hit in one of these cold weather cities, that has to hurt more. When you get pounded into the fucking ground and it's like being out in the parking lot, that's got to hurt.
100%. And when you weigh 190 pounds, the beating, you wear down a little bit faster. Again, he's playing well. I don't think they're a great team, but they may be playing the best of any team in that division right this second. Eagles could get better. Cowboys could get better. We'll see. Does have 240 yards more due to missed tackles. Horrible. Yeah, listen, Matt. Fundamentally, the Cowboys are horrendous, and I think this all goes back to a lot of, CeeDee Lamb, missing time in camp, the distractions of Dak and his contract. I think also, when you pay Jeff 3 guys on your team, right now you're paying 2 guys on your team, 95, almost $100 million a year of your $250-something million budget. It's hard to put a great team on the field with that. It just is.
No, listen, Tom, I hear you. I understand. But I mean, this is what owners have done because of what they've put on the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And nobody 3-4 years ago when we were talking about this and we were like, so-and-so's getting $35 million a year to play 16 games of football.
Yeah.
Okay. When I remember like talking about like it was yesterday and be like, so-and-so is going to get $37.5 million.
Yeah. Look at Deshaun Watson's contract.
They're at numbers that you wouldn't believe. And it's not even the numbers, it's the extensions.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yes.
They're getting.
And I get
signed with the Rangers. It was, I believe.
Yep.
He's to 10 years, $250 million.
Yep.
And the world was set on its $250 million, $25 million a year to play baseball.
Yep.
If you had a quarterback that was making $25 million a year, you're like, they're not paying him anything. He's only getting $25 million.
Yeah, exactly right. 100%. And
it's insane.
And I'll give you one. The guy that, if you were the Dolphins, that I would talk to.
That point is coming sooner than you think, bro.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, he's right.
The only thing. I'm sorry, Tom. The only thing I think that saves a $1 billion contract from coming is because they'll extend these guys for the first full 5 years, and then of their, like, say you get a number 1 pick and he does good, and now here comes time to do his contract. They may go 4 or 5 years before they do anything, and then if they're hitting them with the tag, the franchise tag, because they know somebody is going to say the words $1 billion. This guy's getting $1 billion. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Think about it. Well, it'd have to be somebody who's very young. So it'd have to be a young quarterback, because Mahomes. Because
how could they even do it? Because you got to figure they got to be in the league for 5 or 6 years before that could happen.
Correct.
And they're going to go through every fucking possibility before that happens.
Yeah, I think, you say, well, there's got to be a point where it's too much. And I'm not sure, like, could you see a guy getting a 10-year, $75 million contract? One of these young guys, a Burrow, Arch Manning when he comes out, when his time comes, you could, $100 million you're talking about a 10-year, $100 million contract.
See you later, man.
I'll be watching it myself. I don't disagree that it's not that it. Listen, if you get one of these guys who comes out at 21 years old, right, like a Mahomes type of guy, and by 25 they're the guy, I could see them getting the 15-year contract worth, $50 million or $75 million a year, and maybe the back end of it's not guaranteed, so it's just all for show. But yeah, I think the day's coming where you're going to have an $800 million contract.
I don't think that you'll ever see a quarterback get a contract like that for a couple different reasons.
Why?
Okay. One, it's just too many years. And I understand what you're saying. It's a backloaded contract. It's basically a front. It's a show.
Yeah, exactly right. That's all it is. It's a show. 100%.
Why would anybody even want to take a chance of pigeonholing themselves in something like that? Because one, it's going to label them to give them a bad label. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hold on with that, Frank. And why would you even want to? Because if there's some stipulation that you're stuck in that contract, and now the next guy comes along and he gets something, he blows the doors off of what you just signed.
I agree, but here's the point. Like, it wasn't that long ago that Eli got like a $22 million contract that people thought, oh my God. And then we got the $28 million Cousins deal, which is what, 6, 8, 10 years ago, if it's that
not
long.
Even 10 years ago. Not even 10 years ago.
So think about that. You had $28 million. People thought that was insane. All of a sudden now, Dak just got $60 million. You'd say paid $60 million to a quarterback who hasn't even won anything yet.
Like I said before, when somebody first hit $25 million, right, and everybody was insane. Now, if your quarterback has got a $25 million deal, everybody and their mother is going to be like, "Holy shit, that's nothing. This guy's fucking nothing." There's backups that make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And Matt, I'm sorry, Matt, Frank, I don't know. The Jets have to show a little resiliency. That's how you're going to see what kind of team they are. Do they next man up and fill in and do what they got to do?
They got the number 1 pick playing, the kid Fasanu from Penn State. He's playing.
Yeah, I think he's playing right tackle.
Yeah, and he played pretty well the other night. And yeah, I do think over the course of a season, losing a guy like Morgan Moses hurts. But I think you had to expect it. He hasn't played a full season in a long time. Same as Tyron Smith. I think, if every game you get out of those guys, what you want them, though, is healthy at the end of the year into the playoffs. That's where you want Tyron Smith playing. And you know what? To me, it ain't the worst thing in the world that Morgan Moses is down. The Jets have a chance to win a few games, get this kid some work, and they don't overdo the older, more susceptible to injury Moses, and same thing for Smith.
Listen, I have no problem with that number 1 pick getting in there and getting his hands dirty. He should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's get him in there. Let's see what he can do, because not for nothing, they threw Becton to the fucking. Is Mekhi Becton even playing anymore?
Yes, he's playing guard. I just saw him on somebody. He's playing guard for somebody. I'd have to look it up. And they were raving about him, like how good he's been playing. I watched the game. It was probably 2 weeks ago. It was on TV, and then Mekhi Becton Sr. I was like, okay, it's got to be him. But
yeah, we saw that, Frank, that they lost him.
Yeah, who's better? You can't compare Eli and Terry. Listen, to me, Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. You know, he's at a different level than these guys. But it's a different game. Terry Bradshaw threw the ball 20 times, 25 times in a game. Eli was throwing the ball 40 times in a game. The numbers don't make sense. But to me, Bradshaw, those guys are better quarterbacks.
Terry Bradshaw was playing in a war.
Yeah.
Where Eli Manning was playing playground football.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw played a man's football.
Yeah, I mean, now again, Eli probably never had more than anybody, 1 or 2 guys you would even consider to be Hall of Famers, and they're not Hall of Famers. Bradshaw played with guys, he probably played with half a dozen guys just on offense who were Hall of Famers. So, it's a different game. It's different situations. If you ask me who I would take, I'd take Bradshaw. He won 4 Super Bowls, but Eli won 2. So, what game am I playing? But to me, I can't put Eli ahead of Bradshaw with 4 Super Bowls and everything under his belt. So, but this weekend, Jeff, it's a good opportunity for the Jets. I mean, let's see. Denver coming in at 1-2. Rookie quarterback. To me, the Jets have to continue to get better each week and do the things that they need to do, which is not rely on Rodgers to throw 40 times in a game. They've got a 2-headed running back. But the one thing I don't like, and the one thing that's coming very apparent, Jeff, and while Sauce Gardner is a great cover corner, the kid doesn't want to tackle anybody.
I know you said that last week. I got to pay attention to that.
Yeah, you got to take a look at it. When you see it, I would tell you he could wear the same uniform all week after the game, and you wouldn't even have to wash it because he does not like to throw his body. Now, he's a little thinner than I expected him to be, a hell of a cover corner, but I would tell you, after watching it again this week, and now you're starting to hear it in the media. People are talking about it. They're going, he's a great cover cornerback, but I think worse than Deion. Deion, I'm been all over Deion. I say he's the most overrated Hall of Famer in history because he literally was a one-dimensional player. If you want to throw the kick returns or punt returns and then throw it in, it's fine.
But didn't Deion Sanders at least get interceptions?
Yeah, people threw against
not intercepting the ball either.
They don't. To be fair, although Ridley lit him up. Calvin Ridley in the Tennessee game lit him up for whatever it was. So he has not played exceptionally well this year. And if I'm teams, I'm throwing the ball short in front of him and forcing him to make tackles because not that he even can't, he just doesn't want to. That's worse. I've seen guys. I played with guys. I've seen guys in the pros in college who can't tackle, but they throw their bodies at it. They give it the old college try. This kid don't want to take a shot at it, and I don't know if he just doesn't like to get hit or what his deal is. But boy, oh boy, I have to tell you, I think right now Sauce Gardner is playing for his next contract. He's afraid to get hurt. That's how it looks. You watch next time you get a chance to watch, kind of key in on him when they run the ball at him, and you can see how many times he's standing around a pile and doesn't have his head in there.
Well, he's probably looking at running backs that are probably almost twice his weight. He is a thin guy, but
no, I agree.
You got to get in there. You got to play. You got to get dirty, and more importantly, you got to be a leader.
Agreed.
If you're not doing that, you're going to lose a lot of respect that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument: is he or Quinton Williams the best player on that defense? I would go Williams only because Williams is an all-around player, but he's that guy, and he's that next level. But he can't be Revis yet because Revis. As much as I hated the guy, he was obnoxious, but the guy could play the position, and you didn't run on him, and you didn't throw against him because he was a big dude who would knock the shit out of you. This kid has got to learn to throw his body around a little bit because you're going to get to that point where it's, he's a good cover guy, but we can run at him. So, but it's a good week for them. They get a team that's not necessarily playing great football with a young rookie quarterback. The Jets have to keep winning these games. They have to keep going out there, and after that, Jets get.
Well, I'll say this much about the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets have to look at their season as one game at a time.
Yes.
They can't look ahead. They can't think too far ahead. They just got to stay within reason, understand who they're playing, what their next assignment is, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree with you.
You can't look too far ahead. Then that's where you're going to have fucking problems. All right. Aaron Rodgers has been doing pretty good.
Yes.
And I think most of it is him getting by on his football smarts, to be honest with you.
Agreed. And he has been moving a little better. Like the first couple weeks, he looked like a 40-something-year-old guy who hasn't played in 20 months. He didn't look smooth. And again, he's not anywhere near where he was as that, but he's still smart enough to move around, stay out of trouble. I think if they can protect him the way they've been doing, and they really can run the football like they have been, the Jets won't have a problem offensively. I don't think they're killing it offensively. If they play any sort of defense, they'll be fine. This week, next couple of weeks, you got the Broncos this week. All right, might not be the biggest offensive challenge. No offense, Frank. But then you go to London and you get the Minnesota Vikings, who have been one of the better and a very big surprise team. I mean, most people thought they had no quarterback and they were, a pushover this year. And Minnesota's 3-0. They've scored 85 points. Sam Darnold has looked like a legitimate NFL quarterback.
He's thrown like 8 touchdown passes.
I mean, he's looked like a football player. And again, we talk about it all the time. Maybe he just hit his stride now on a good team. He's got good receivers, a good team, and a good coach who most people think is an offensive genius. And it's a good spot. So next couple of weeks for the Jets. But again, I still don't think they're in that next level yet, the way they're playing. They need to get there. But listen, a lot of teams, Cincinnati, I thought was going to be a Super Bowl team this year. I had picked Cincinnati and the Lions. Cincinnati is horrendous.
Give them time. It's only 3 games in.
Yeah, but at what point, Jeff, what point do we say, okay, you are what your record says you are? Like, at what point? Are we waiting till week 8? Are we waiting till week 6?
No, not week 8, but I'll tell you right now, you're entering a very important stretch. If your team is 0-3, 1-2, 0-3, you're going into week 4. This is it. This is important. Week 4, 5, 6. If you don't have the ship straightened by week 8, then you have problems.
I think I agree with you. If you're not playing your best football by week 6 of the NFL season, the way it's set up now, before I would have told you by week 4. But I think now with the no way plays in the preseason, the lack of hard training camp, I would tell you by week 4, normally you got to be playing your best football. I would say right now you have to be minimum 500 or 1 game short of it by week 6. Otherwise, if you're 3 games under, 2 games under, you're gonna have a hard time. And you're not playing good football. Your season's about done and over with. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of coaches on the hot seat right now with Peterson in Jacksonville. Obviously, Mike McCarthy in Dallas. There's a bunch of coaches. What's his name? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. There's a couple other coaches I had on my sheet that I'm having a hard time right now. But again, nobody's running away with it. I mean, they're struggling in San Francisco. They're struggling in LA. People thought the Rams were going to be a really good team this year. They have not looked it. Seattle's 3-0. Everybody else in that division is 1-2. This is a weird football season. Teams are winning games that they shouldn't win. I mean, the Bucks, the Bucks lose this past week after looking good all season. Carolina goes out there and whips the shit out of people. I mean, this is just a weird football season. We'll see how it plays out. But we bought the Heat last week. 10 sacks, good scheme. Yeah,
you gotta think like the Bengals are already a game, with last place.
Yep.
I firmly believe that they're going to end up being the second best team in that division when it's all said and done. But listen, Jacksonville, Tennessee, 0-3. Vegas, they seem to have their problems.
Oh, another two quarterback issues. Yeah, another quarterback problem over there.
Chargers seem to be a little bit better. Denver, you got to give them a little slack. They got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
But listen, I don't. Maybe Buffalo, but I mean Buffalo. Are they going to come to earth sooner or later? I mean, I hope not, because I got Josh Allen as my quarterback.
I turned it on the other night, and it was 30-something, nothing, or 7. I was like, oh, my God. He couldn't have looked better. If there was ever a game you go, you don't want to ever end, that if you're Josh Allen, you want to play like 9 quarters. Because for some reason, it was a doubleheader, and it's a doubleheader again this week. There was 2 games last week and 2 games this week. I usually used to do that the first week of the season. I don't know why they're doing it now. But I was more interested in the Cincinnati game against the Redskins than I did. I turned on the Buffalo game, which started a half hour earlier, and they were already blowing it out. But, that's a team I thought was going to take a major step back this year, and so far they haven't.
So far, yeah.
And Cincinnati, Pittsburgh's 3-0. How? I don't know. I mean, they literally have no offense. I mean, I don't care if anybody tells me they're playing great defense. The Ravens were 0-2 going into last week's game against Dallas. I mean, there's a team that's 1-2. People have them going to the Super Bowl. Are they going to catch fire now? Maybe now's their chance. I mean, but Cincinnati, I would tell you, this is a must-win for that team this week. And who are they playing, Jeff? Let's see.
Who's that?
At Carolina. So if you're Cincinnati, you have to go in there and you have to win that game.
I agree.
You can't be 1-5 after week 6. You just can't be.
No,
they need to put on, especially right now. If the rest of the division was terrible, I would tell you. So now again, the Ravens, are the Ravens as bad as 1-2? I don't know yet. We'll see, because they're playing this week. The Ravens get.
Well, they had an off season just a couple years ago.
Yes,
if I remember right.
Looking for that game this week, Buffalo. Let's see it. Well, let's see. Detroit's playing Monday. Oh, okay. So they play Buffalo this week. So did the Ravens look really good, or did they play the Cowboys and they look better because they played the Cowboys? We'll find that out tonight when the Giants play. But Baltimore could easily lose to this week. To Buffalo. Buffalo's lighting it up. So to me, this is a big game for them. But if you're Cincinnati, you have to go to Carolina this week and win. You just have to. You cannot come out of this week and be 0-4. Season's over. You ain't coming back from 0-4.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. You're definitely not winning a division at that point in time. That's for sure.
No, definitely not. But yeah, so it's been an interesting season for here in New York. One thing I liked about this week, Jeff, I know you're not a big sports radio guy, but turning on sports radio, I mean, the Yankees are 1 win from clinching the division. They're a couple of wins away from being the best team in the American League. The Mets, with the Hurricane, they run into a little bit of a wall, but both teams are playing good baseball. But the optimism around the New York football, I mean, a week and a half ago, people had the Giants buried. It was over. Season was done. They're the worst team in history. Dable's out. They win a game in Cleveland. It just changed and it's nice to listen to sports radio in New York, and teams are actually optimistic. People are sitting there going, well, they could beat the Cowboys tonight. If they beat the Cowboys, then you got Seattle and you got Pittsburgh. It's a whole different tune, and it's so much nicer to turn on sports radio when they're talking about New York football for a change, where people are going, well, it might not be that far down the road that we could be talking about a New York Super Bowl. Now, I don't ever see that happening.
Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, but to me, it's nice to be optimistic. And, listen, after the first week or so with the Jets, people were starting to go, well, maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. So I don't think we're going to find out this week. I don't think you find out what the Jets really are until they go to London to play Minnesota. Now, are you buying into the Minnesota thing yet? Have you bought in?
It's hard to say either way at this point in time, Tom, because like I said, it's week 3. Half the league is going to suck. The other half of the league is going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're 3 games in of a 17-game season. Yeah. We got to give everybody the chance. You can't You can't discount that. I mean, there's certain teams that are easier to discount than to say that, you know, this team is the real deal. Is Minnesota the real deal? I would say no. I would say let Donald, let it play out. He's going to come down to earth, and when he comes down, it's going to be hard. You know, Geno Smith is already proven he's a playoff quarterback. He's made the playoffs a couple years ago. Then it was kind of quiet for Geno for a couple years. You know, he didn't have the same success. But let's see what happens as far as, you know, teams like Minnesota goes. And, you know, listen, hopefully for Sam Darnold, he does all right for himself. He looks like he's going to have a position in this league anyway. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Listen,
he's going to be a backup. That's all there is to it.
Frank, I disagree with you. What I'll say is I don't think anybody thought the Browns were going to be great. But all I heard for weeks was the Browns have a great defense. And the Giants went out there and moved the ball. They made a couple of mistakes, and that slowed them down. And I thought they played really well on defense. They've sacked Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, Jeff, if there's anybody who needs a change of scenery, it's Deshaun Watson. He couldn't play any worse, I think, and he needs to get out of the problem is nobody's taking on that contract and the missiles that come behind it with all the lawsuits.
What he needs to do is go to the bank, go get a cashier's check, go to some third world fucking country where he could hide and live comfortably the rest of his life like a king, and he can have all the masseuses come to his house.
Go to the Philippines.
Yeah, well, there you go, but just be careful of the lady boys, you know.
Yeah,
unless you're into that kind of thing, then you're all right.
I would tell you, I'll text you during the week about it. I would think if you really thought about it, he might have signed. Well, Cleveland might have signed the absolute worst contract in history. That might be
when they signed it. It didn't look so bad because they thought that what they were getting, and then shortly thereafter, the fucking bottom fell out. And
yeah, I would say between the lawsuits and the lack of playing well.
Lack of playing.
Yeah,
not playing well, just playing.
Very true. Yeah, very true. He still has after this year 2 more years on that contract. I mean, that's not going away anytime soon, and it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah, but at least they got to turn around and say, you know, listen.
Oh, that's true.
They're halfway through it. You know what I mean?
I did forget about Russell Wilson. That's going to come close. That might come close to the second. Might be close. I don't think what Russell's was fully guaranteed, but that was another bad one. And listen, these are just bad guys, and I think that's the problem I have is, you know, if you're going to invest those guys in that kind of money in those guys, they at least got to be good human beings. Like you at least got to say, I want the guy on my team. I mean, these guys aren't even good people. I mean,
no. Listen, it's hard to say anything about that. You know, it's just amazing to me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I think life. You know, think differently in life.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go for a scan on my leg a couple of weeks ago. Right, my leg was a little red, so they were like, "Well, we want to check you, make sure you got no blood clots." Okay, so I had a Russian woman, and she's scanning me, and as she's scanning me. I know she didn't do it on purpose, so you know, but she grazed certain parts that I was just like, oh, okay. And as she was doing that, I'm like, you know, some of these people may think like, hey, that's a sign, that's a signal. You know, and then next thing you know, it'd be like, here, scan this. But you know, I refrained, and I don't have any legal problems. You know what I mean? Some people just can't be like, oh, you want to see it? Okay, here it is. And they just whip it out. And it's just, I just do not understand. But the thing is, for the 20 women that came against him, okay, and are now battling against him in court, how many went along with the program?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It isn't like he did it 23 women are going against him. He did this 24 times.
Yes.
It's worked more often than not.
Yeah. There were 60 people, just 23 of it took offense to it, or 23 people came forward.
Exactly. If not more than 60.
No, I'm just throwing a number out there, but you're right. It wasn't, he did this to 23 people and they all showed up at his door the next day.
Yeah, he just, you know, this isn't somebody that fucked up. You know what I mean? This is somebody that felt comfortable. This was his go-to move. And like, you know.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt about it. But that's my point. Listen, if you're going to invest this kind of money in these guys, now, I don't like Dak Prescott as a quarterback. I think he's average at best. but he comes across at least as a normal, upstanding human being where you'd say, all right, I'm going to give him the money. He might not play well, but he's not going to embarrass my team. And Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones is never going to show up on the police blotter. At the very least, don't embarrass me. You can play badly and not be worth the money. That happens. But
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying it right now. Daniel Jones is a virgin. That's why he's not going to be on the police blotter.
Supposedly he's dating that Kay Adams from used to be on the Good Morning Football type show. I don't know.
I don't think I'd be touching that. But I heard she's gone to the dark side a couple times.
I wouldn't. I'm not going to touch that one. But it's going to be an interesting football week, and it's huge because Daniel Jones goes tonight. I'm going to go watch the game now, and he's my quarterback. And I'm looking forward to playing the smack on Jeff on this weekend. Please tune in next Thursday night when I post the scores, good or bad for me. I will post the score of this game. I did sit Joe Burrow. I said it when I drafted it, and Jeff gave me the schedule, and he said, I play you week 4. I said, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care how good Joe Burrow's playing. I am sitting Daniel Jones. I'm sitting Joe Burrow. I'm playing Daniel Jones. So when I smack that ass, I can say Daniel Jones was the starting quarterback who smacked that ass.
Listen, you did say that.
I did.
And I got to give you credit for holding true to your word, man.
That's right.
And I got to get off this subject real quick. I don't know if you realize something. I know you got to go.
Good.
I tried to sign on to PS5.
Okay.
Right? To see what I would have to do to play somebody else.
Yeah.
Do you know that you need to join up on the PlayStation Store to do this?
My son told me that you have to basically take a subscription.
Yeah.
I didn't look at to see how much. I didn't look at any of that stuff.
It's like $130 for the year.
Okay. Yeah. So he told me.
And it's not like we can't. If you want to play, like, stop by my house with the game and the paddle. It's fine. Yeah. But I mean, unless we each going to pay this money.
Well, yeah, I didn't know how it worked, but I did look into it a little bit. I didn't look into how much it costs, any of that stuff. I got the PS5 hooked up. I've been playing. First off, I play Major League Baseball the show, but it's an older version. I think 21. But I can't hit. I don't know if you can hit.
Lower. Listen to me. Do yourself a favor. Lower the fucking thing. Lower it. If you don't lower the difficulty,
yeah,
and you got to learn, and then bring yourself along. I'm still on the lowest setting.
Okay,
and I'm winning games like 25-3. But you know,
hardest thing in the world. And I play I got this zombie game, The Last of Us, which is actually a pretty cool game. And I have Madden again, a Madden 21, something like that. I have to do it, but I'm working my way into it, and then we'll see. Maybe somewhere down the line, if we're playing enough, maybe it'll be worth it. But Jeff, you know what time you get on yet? Saturday. Oh yeah,
I think around 4:00, Frank. It's around 4:00. It starts at 2:30. First band goes on at 2:30 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4:30. We're going on sometime after 4:30.
But then you have the second band, right?
The Romorons is the second band. Yeah, first band is middle-aged delinquents.
And then, okay, so you're playing back to back.
Yes.
Okay, so you set up there once, and then you're playing with both bands.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
So what time's the first band go on?
About 4:30.
Okay, so your first band at 4:30, and then you say at 6:00 again.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, you get an hour for a set. Break it down because there's some switch over, right?
The only switch over is going to be different guitar amps. That's it.
Right, because you get different.
PA staying, the drums and bass amp is staying.
Right, and it's the same drummer for both bands.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, listen, get down there. Where is it this week? Where's the show?
And who the fuck is it? The Trotters Clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
By the Salt Pile by South Avenue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, off the.
This is a benefit show?
Yes, it is for pit bulls and parolees, I think it is.
Oh, nice. Cool. That's good.
So I'm trying to hoping not to get attacked by any dogs.
If you're not, that is open to the public. I know it's in the clubhouse. Is it open to the public?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, check
I've been there for their clubhouse and their events, so I have no idea what we're looking at here. So I won't know until I get there.
Well, if you got time, you're on Staten Island Saturday, do me a favor, stop by the Trotters Clubhouse off of South Avenue, and go check out. Jeff's got the middle-aged delinquents and then the Remorons. So you'll be entertained, that's for sure. And then that's the first two bands of the night?
No. We're the third and fourth band of the night. The first two bands is going to be, oh, man, what the fuck is that? Man, I don't even know the name. Sharon's band, not Goldie Rocks, I think.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen them in I don't know how long. Well, Sharon and Carl and the rest of those guys, I haven't seen them in I don't know how long. And then the next band is Mixtape Diaries.
And then funny, I think so. Sharon does the early gig, and then her band with Jimmy is playing at 8:00 at night at Rab's Bowling on the Green.
No way.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
It's Saturday night. So listen, if you're on Staten Island, there's a lot of great bands to see. A couple of different events. You can go see Jimmy Galicchio's band at 8:00. You can see Jeff play at 4:30 and probably around 6:00 with both his bands. You want to get to see Goldie Rocks and those guys and Sharon and Carl and Squid and that whole. Who's their bass player now? Is it Johnny
Johnson?
It's Johnny Johnson.
Yeah, he's back in the fold.
Okay. All right. So if you're on Staten Island, you want to hear some great music, by all means, head down to the Trotters Club, or go down to see Jimmy Galicchio and what's the name of that one? That's Radio Waves. Yeah, go see Radio Waves at Rab's at 8:00 at night. So either way, it's going to be a lot of football this weekend. We got big fantasy games going on. We'll give you that heads up next week, and of course we'll be back to do this all over again next week. But I want to go watch a Giant game. And I got a really early start tomorrow morning. I'm not sure I'm sticking around for the whole Giant game. Depends on how it goes. I got to be out of the house about 4:30 in the morning. So, yeah, that's just the story of my life. I got to be in Yonkers by 6 a.m. So, yep. But that's how life goes. So I'm going to go take a quick shower, go watch the game, and then hopefully stay up and watch it. If not, thank you, Frank. Good luck to the Broncos and to Jeff's squad, and we'll see how it plays out, Jeff. Good luck this weekend. I'm sure I'll talk to you off the air. But in the meantime, we're going to end the show right here. So for myself and Jeff, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week, great rest of your weekend, and a great next week. Come on back. We'll have more Jets, Giants. We'll talk Yankees, Mets, playoff baseball, and so much more. So for Jeff Towinski, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, have a great night. We'll see you guys next Thursday night.
See you Saturday. Here's hoping. And Frank, next week, Tom, I will be giving everyone the view of a winner and how to win.
We'll see.
A seminar.
And if Jeff doesn't show up next week, you'll know why.
Oh, I'll be there. Don't you worry, man. Don't you worry. I will be there.
We'll see. Jeff's a stand-up guy, so we'll see. But either way, we'll be back here next Thursday night, 7:00. Tune in. Hard Rocket Sports. Hefe, I'll talk to you off the air.
Later, my friend.
Later, man. Later, Frankie.